the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. So he said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern at the Belfry bar to the North Church Tower as a signal. What if by land is two by sea, and I and the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm to every mill fence, fields, and farm for the country folks to be up into arms. And he said goodnight and with muffled oar silently rowed to the Charleston shore. Just as the moon rose over the bay while swinging wide at her moorings, the Somerset British man on board. A phantom ship with each mast and spar across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friends from alley and street wandered and watched his eager ear. Till in the silence around him he hears the muster of men at the barrack door, the sound of arms and the tramp of feet. And the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore. And he climbed the tower of the Old North Church, by the wooden stairs with stealthy tread, to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from the somber rafters round and masses of movement, shades of shade. By the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he paused to listen and look down a moment on the roofs of the town and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath in the churchyard lay the dead, in their night encampment on the hill, wrapped in silence so deep and still that you could hear like a sentinel's tread the watchful night wind as and when, creeping along from tent to tent, seeming to whisper, all is well. A moment only he feels the spell of the place and the hour and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead. For suddenly, all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side, gazed at the landscape far and near. Then impetuously on the earth, turned and tightened his saddle girth. But mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the Old North Church as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely and spectral and somber and still. And lo, as he looks on the belfry arch, a glimmer and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle of the bridle, he turns, but lingers and gazes till full in the sight, a second lamp in the belfry burn. A hurry of hoofs in a village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath him in the pebbles, in passing a spark, struck out by a steed flying fierce and fleet. That was all. Yet through the gloom and light, a fate of a nation was riding that night, and the sparks mountains steep, and beneath and tranquil, and brown and deep, and the mystic meeting of Paul Revere. Edge or soft. Now loud on the left. Has heard the tramp of the steed as he rides. It was 12 by the village clock. When he crossed the bridge into Medford town, he heard the crowing of the cock and the barking of the farmer's dog. And felt the damp of the river falling and that rises after the sun goes down. It was 1 by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed. And the meeting house windows, black and bare, gazed at him with a spectral glare, as if they already stood aghast at the blood. He heard the bleating of the flock and the twitter of the birds among the trees, and felt the breath of the morning breeze blowing over the meadow ground. And one was safe and asleep in his bed, who at the bridge would be first to fall, who that day would be lying dead, pierced by a British musket ball. Gave them ball for ball from behind his fence and chasing the redcoats down the lane, then crossing the fields to emerge again under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire in the So through the night rode Paul Revere, so through the night on his cry of alarm. Through every mill, village, and farm. A cry of defiance and not of fear, a voice in the darkness, a knock at the door, and a word that shall echo forevermore. For born in the night, went through the past, through all our history to the last, in the hour of darkness and peril and need, people will waken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed and the midnight message of Paul Revere.